Morning all, welcome back. And there's a lot of signings going on because we're up to the 1st of May. So I don't expect this to be the end of it, and I don't expect to be able to cover every single signing. I'll do my best. And then, of course, this summer when we get into previews for the following season, whenever that is, then we'll get into who's going to play where and do what and which of these prospects push for a job and try to predict and figure out exactly where things are going to end up. Starting off, the hub cities, the bidding process is underway. Now, if you're going to bid for the NHL, this isn't just like you can just say, oh, we'll give you $10 million, and the NHL goes, we like our $10 million. You have to tell them your plan. So you have to have a plan in terms of your safety, your transport, who's going to be in contact with the players, how you plan on keeping everybody safe. And Alberta Health Services is apparently willing to work with the city of Edmonton on a bidding process. So something that kept getting mentioned when I would talk about the idea of Edmonton or whoever are hosting it is, well, the government may not allow it and they may not be allowed. Apparently, Alberta Health Services will sit down with the city and they'll come up with some sort of a concrete plan in order to make this bid work. And there's already talk about Ontario opening up on some limited level. And we'll see how this goes. I do think it can work in Edmonton. You have hotels that are very, very close to the building. They're not being used right now. So I do think there's a way to make this work. It's the same argument why the NBA looks at Vegas and says, all right, we could do this in Vegas. We'll see what happens there, but that process has started. And we'll see who emerges as front runners and how many of those cities will be in Canada and how many would be in the States. Zub, I guess, Artem Zub has signed his contract with Ottawa. We knew this was coming. This has been rumored for over a month. He's 24 years of age, defenseman, signs a 1-year contract. He had 13 goals, 9 assists in the KHL last year, so he can score goals from the blue line. That's a good thing. And 24 years of age, comes into Ottawa for 1 year. We'll see what he can do. And we'll see whether or not Pierre Dorian's found himself another player that can help. I do think Ottawa's going to get better next year. I have guarded optimism that Ottawa gets better and not necessarily gets into the playoffs, but at least they'll make a push because they do have those two pretty high draft picks right now. Pierre LeBrun is reporting, and I saw reports from elsewhere as well, that the Sharks are the front runners for goaltender Alexei Melnichuk, who's 21 years of age, coming out of the KHL as well. 8-5-1 record last year, 930 save percentage. The San Jose Sharks need another goaltender. They do. So if Melnichuk's the real deal, and apparently there are a number of teams that were interested in his services, and this has been going on for a month as well. It was about a month ago they reported he was down to 4 different U.S.-based teams he was looking at. So apparently the Sharks are the front runners and could very well have him signed over the next 24, 48 hours. So again, general managers are still signing players. They're still going about it as business as usual as much as humanly possible during this lockdown phase. And then Montreal signed this guy. So, all right. Arson is the first name. That one's relatively easy. It's also a crime. Kasamatinov. I'm going to say Kasamatinov. So, yeah, he's a center, signs a 2-year entry-level contract with Montreal. I'm just going to say straight out, if he scores a bunch of points and a bunch of goals, and I have to write his name on the board a bunch of times, I'm going to become very, very good at saying his name, and I'm probably going to just start out with Arson until I get confident in his last name. There's too many letters in that. If the kid's watching, you got too many letters in your name, you might want to knock a few of those out. And then a much easier name to say, Dustin Wolf, who, if he wasn't a hockey player, likely would have been a professional wrestler, because Dustin Wolf. Great for wrestling, or maybe rugby. Dustin Wolf sounds like a good rugby name, too. He'd be right in the scrum, right in the middle there. Dustin Wolf pushing the scrum. It works. He's a goaltender who signs his entry-level contract with Calgary. Now, Wolf's one to watch because he ended up being drafted a lot later than people thought. I have a feeling that when Calgary drafted him, they're like, what, Wolf's still on the board? We'll take him. So I think Wolf could end up being a late round steal for a team that, with both Gillies and Parsons, they've both had their drawbacks since being drafted by Calgary. And of course, Gillies, it doesn't look like will be a regular goaltender in the NHL. I think it's still too early to say with Parsons, but we'll see if Wolf is that rule of the third is the charm. Philippe Berglund, defenseman, signs his entry-level contract for Edmonton because Edmonton wants me to wear their jersey every day, so they sign a guy every day, it seems. A lot of depth being picked up, or at least being signed by the Oilers. I can't say being picked up because this was a 2016 number 91 pick who turns 23 on May 10th. So it's a pick. Again, it's more depth being picked up by the Oilers. The one thing I wonder is, so, this is one of those 2016 picks. At what point do we, if the Oilers continue to be good and they continue this upswing, do we give Chiarelli any credit at all for the Oilers being decent? Like some of the moves that he made that we went, what? Some of them definitely are still the what category, but there's some players he's picked which are, because again, it's something I've noticed with GMs where they make a good move and people might, because they don't like the GM, go, well, that was more the scouts, or he didn't really want to make that move, but the assistant GM kind of talked him into it, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's strange to me because really, while Holland's done a very good job, in all honesty, a lot of the things that have gotten better with the Oilers are more about the coach behind the bench, I think, than necessarily about the players on the ice. So maybe Chiarelli's failing was not finding that exact right coach, more than the moves made on the roster. But again, that's a whole discussion for another time. And Gary Bettman finally confirmed, I believe this was yesterday, he finally confirmed, yeah, this shutdown could possibly delay the start of next season. Yeah. And what's being said now is that they're looking at the possibility, and there's all these nebulous ideas out there of what they might do, that they might look to start the season as late as a little bit after Christmas. So that would be a late start to the season, wouldn't it? So that's how far back they're willing to push this. And again, and I mentioned this yesterday, considering some of the news that's coming out of the medical field right now, I don't have a problem with them pushing it back. And again, and we'll get into this a little bit, but there's more reasons about it than just, well, they want to, get their money. There are more reasons to it than that. So yeah, we'll see how late the season starts. News came out as well. Georges Laraque has the, as Russell Talk calls it, the Steve Carino. And here's the thing. He also has asthma. So he is in that higher risk category of somebody with an underlying condition that can make this worse. So to Mr. Laraque, I will say, I wish you the best in your fight. He's only a few years younger than I am. So, I've got my fingers crossed that he comes through this as well as possible, and that it's not a problem. And he said he'll fight it off, and I have no doubt in my mind that he can and that he will. It doesn't mean that you're happy that you go, yeah, I got it, cool, it can be in the news. That's not how that works. So yeah, all my best to him. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, I wonder how many people are going to tell him that he doesn't actually have it, because I have a funny feeling he may take names. And where do you live? Okay. As soon as I get better, I'm going to come visit. So yeah, all the best to Georges Laraque. Now, I also was reading this. This was from ESPN. The idea, the whole scope of sports, and this is just in the United States. That the idea of what this shutdown is costing economically, because I know we have this discussion. People go, sports doesn't matter. Well, the thing is, sports at every single level are being affected. So it's not just your professional sports; it's your youth sports. And it's vendors, it's ticket sales, it's everything is affected. Any job in the sports realm. And they're saying it's going to cost at least $12 billion in revenue, just this shutdown we've seen, for sports in general. And it's $12 billion at this stage, and it could end up being much more than that. And it's hundreds of thousands of jobs in the United States that have been lost and are on hold while we're waiting around for something to restart. And there's going to be pressure to get something going because there are hundreds of thousands of people who are out of work. And we're starting to see a lot of that economic pressure in general. And again, globally, I can't imagine the numbers are anything less than just insane when it comes to how many jobs have been affected by this. So, yes, the sport that you watch on television might not seem all that important, but there are a lot of people that aren't the athletes on TV who rely on it. And and again, the cameramen, the grips, the just your standard entry level job in broadcasting. A lot of broadcasters right now, it's just not working. Even your local TV station is making a lot less money right now than it was before all this hit. So there's a lot of economic repercussions going throughout the entire economy. And something else that I've also, I believe, mentioned previously as well, is that if you're making less money because you're affected by this, that's less money going out into the community, and or more money that the government's paying to try to cover for that. So I am of the mind that I'm optimistic and that we're in the worst of it right now, and I have my fingers crossed that that is indeed the case. So optimism and all that, I still have it, and I'm still sticking to it. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. And to those who didn't take my standings from yesterday seriously, thank you. And for people who did, I don't understand, because up until 4 years ago, nobody gave a damn what I thought about sports or teams, and I used to do what I did yesterday with the proposed standings. I would do that just on my own, just week to week. I would be like, I think this team's, well, probably maybe this team, and then I would just sort of spitball it like I did yesterday. So the idea that I have all these subscribers and people pay any attention to what I have to say about the standings is, A, it's bizarre to me, and B, I've never claimed to be any kind of expert on anything. So I don't understand that part either. But hey, I just find it fun. I think it's fun to just play around with it and go, hey, this is what I think. What do you think the standings could be? And I don't take any of it seriously, because I don't have a crystal ball for the future, which is why every now and then I do news from the future, because maybe I'm lying. Maybe I can't tell people. Maybe I already know the standings for this coming season, and somebody somewhere has made sure I keep my mouth shut about it. So think about it. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I will talk to you guys again very soon.